In today's video, as you can see, we're going to have a pretty interesting tropical conversation today. We're also going to dive into the upcoming pattern where we still have a lot of summertime storms on the way as well. So we're just going to break that down day by day. Big temperature flips on the way, as we've mentioned. We've kind of reached a cool down, believe it or not, because we are looking at some slightly below average temperatures for a pretty big swath of the nation, and that is going to be turning into a huge heat wave. Probably the biggest of the summer would be my prediction, actually, just because of how extreme this one is expected to be. And we're going to eventually take that back down into the cold territory in the east. So we have to kind of go back and forth and really discuss some of those dates for that. So stay tuned for that. Before we get into things, I want to talk to you about my business, Prestige Weather. We do weekly weather consulting. We do early releases of our seasonal and monthly forecasts. We have our August forecast coming out very soon there. That's going to be an early release, so be sure to join for that. We also have some very awesome things on the way that I am going to be able to announce very soon to you guys that I am so excited to announce. Let's get into things. Taking a look at the tropics. We do have our system down in the southern Caribbean, and again, we've decreased all the way down to a 10% chance of formation. So I'm extremely happy for two reasons. One, this has been exactly what I've been predicting, so it is always nice to see things go exactly the way you thought they would. Even when we had that medium risk, I still thought that this was going to have a really good shot of coming down in percentage, and sure enough, we've seen it really drop off, obviously. Not only that, but this means that it can't really bring that many impacts to areas if it doesn't develop, which it's looking less and less likely, so that is also extremely good news. Less good news, the further north we go here. We do have a 0% chance of development through the next 48 hours, which gives us some time to really figure this one out. But we do have a 20% chance of development over the next 7 days, and this does have some chance to increase from there as well, of course. And this is moving towards extremely favorable waters. The Atlantic is historically favorable, and offshore of the East Coast is also particularly favorable compared to typical. So we're going to watch this one closely. I think all signs are pointing towards this being a really troublesome situation and really something that needs to be watched. And this looks as though anywhere from Florida all the way up through North Carolina coast would have to be on the lookout for a potential landfalling disturbance at the very least, and potentially something that is developed further. So we're going to watch this one really closely over the coming days. Obviously, as you can see, we don't have a system to talk about anymore in the northern Atlantic, so we're going to move right into the modeled guidance. Let's do it. As we take a look here, we're going to just break down today, firstly, and then we're going to be taking a look here at the coming days, of course. I just want to point out the jet stream, as this has been kind of a big point that we've been making over the past few days, is we do have a jet stream a bit like this. Keep in mind that tropical system does have some really good chance to curve out, because if it joins with that jet stream, it could really get pulled up. That's not to say that it can't just directly impact any of these coastlines here, but there is this kind of northern pull, which could bring it really close to the coast too and do something like this. So that is something that I would be watching for, although we might see this jet stream change quite a bit by that point. But by time we reach this afternoon, we still have this very sharp northern turn. We do have some pretty intense thunderstorms taking place all the way from the mid-Atlantic up into the northeast. We do have a couple of far northern storm systems here, as you can see, for western Canada, areas here in eastern Canada as well. We have a couple of low pressure systems up above. And as we reach Wednesday afternoon, you can see that we do have this system rolling through the upper Midwest, Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and this is going to be an area that we really need to watch. I am paying close attention to this, because this could bring some pretty interesting thunderstorm activity, not only on Wednesday, but Thursday is looking particularly interesting for the northeast, and this could be a very stormy day, and we could be looking at a pretty intense wind system if we see any straight line wind with this. It does look like it could be pretty linear, so really some stuff to watch. We do see that there is this general storminess over the kind of four corner states into the northern plains. And if you do watch every single day, you would know that we have been talking about this nearly daily. So a lot has been going on in this area, and it looks to continue to do so. By the time we reach Friday the 28th, we can see a lot of storms here for the southeast. We can see through the upper Midwest and into the northeast. We do also see quite a bit of storms rolling through here. And again, here for the four corner states, we're dealing with some thunderstorms. So definitely some very interesting stuff going on here. By the time I reach Saturday, it gets even more interesting as a low is offshore, and this could look a little bit like a Miller B nor'easter. So look for some potential heavy rainfall with this system. Also, not only that, you do have the low pressure in the area, you do have the warm summer humid air, and this could lead towards some flaring up of some thunderstorms as well. So definitely a very, very interesting scenario on all cylinders. Sunday the 30th here, we take a look at the southeast here for a lot of storms. We see that for the northern plains and upper Midwest as well. And we do have this 1004 here, but still the jet stream is going like this, and we see this kind of northern turn with the southern jet that's pretty much that tropical jet, and this just brings an influx of storms straight into the southeast. So again, if we get that tropical system, I would not be surprised to see it pull along this area. That is definitely a scenario that I could see happening for the most part, and we continue to see this until about Monday. We can start to see some rising up of this warmer air. We're starting to see a little bit of some trough type motion here in the west, and this is the beginning of that big potential warm up in the east. And look at this just shift in the pattern as we start to deal with more of a trough here and a big time ridge in the east. And this is going to bring very dry, well, dry as far as precipitation here, but it's going to be humid and very, very hot. Again, potentially the biggest heat wave of the summer on the way. We can see that for the Rockies in general, we do see a lot of thunderstorms ongoing. And then for the Northeast, Great Lakes, and Canada, we still see these storms flaring up for the beginning of August. Another potential nor'easter looking system here, 998, so pretty strong as well. And this could bring some wind and some thunderstorms with it. As far as rain is concerned, we could see some flooding probabilities with a stronger low like that. So multiple concerns. And then we're kind of left in this interesting pattern where the cold has started to kind of push back down south. And we've seen a rising up of this positive PNA. So certainly some chance to move back into a cooler direction. We'll get into the temperatures in a minute, but here's the total precipitation through the next 10 days. And as you can see, from the Rockies all the way northeastward towards the kind of upper Midwest, towards the Northeast as well, this is pretty much what we're looking at. We see a lot of systems move through like this, and that is what's bringing a lot of that precipitation. And then we see thunderstorms kind of just hanging out around here in the Four Corner states. And then Florida gets quite a bit of activity, but this is fairly typical as well. So nothing too crazy there. I'm sure that if we get some organized tropical activity in here, we will see an increase here for the southeast as well. So some interesting things on the way. Certainly going to be tracking it moving forward, of course. For that temperature pattern, we can see that we already are starting to see a cooling down here of the west. So what we see is this really, really cold air mass setting up, and this is a negative PNA. And we already are seeing that warm air rise up here. So we're seeing this kind of flaring up of that warm, humid air by the end of July. And then for early August, what we end up seeing is this backdoor cold front, like I mentioned earlier, for the Northeast and for Eastern Canada, as well as some of the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley. So that is taking place. And then as we continue this on, we start to really, like I mentioned earlier, see the ramping up of this positive PNA again. So very, very warm along the western seaboard in general. And this encourages this cooler, more neutral air at the very least to move down for the Northeast, Ohio Valley, Great Lakes, and even some of the Mid-Atlantic, all the way through the end of the model run here, as you can see, on August 9th. So we're going to be watching this closely. A big temperature roller coaster, some tropical concerns. I think the next couple of weeks are going to be very interesting. And then certainly as we reach towards the end of August into September, as you know, things are going to get very, very interesting. So much exciting stuff on the way. Be sure to subscribe. We upload every single day. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it. Leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.